We are in session 6, the last session for Unit 5, and session 6 deals with motivation and classroom management. By the end of this session, you should be able to identify ways by which teachers can motivate students to learn mathematics. Motivation in the mathematics classroom. A strong motivation to master mathematics can make a big difference. Intense motivation helps students overcome disappointing mistakes, expand effort to figure out complex mathematics problems, sacrifice time to improve mathematics skills, and remember mathematics learned for a longer period of time. In addition to knowing mathematics, you need to know about the 8 characteristics of the student you teach and about teaching. The challenge is to stimulate students to want to learn something in mathematics. So that's the main purpose of. Then we have some techniques to use to increase students' motivation. And these techniques include 1. Be passionate about what you are teaching. If you have favorite math concepts or if one problem really challenges you, point that out to your students. Let your own enthusiasm for the subject show in your attitude towards teaching. They should see you being passionate and loving the subject you are teaching. Another technique for increasing the student motivation is to find out what most interests your students. If they are interested in some specific sports or current events, tie in some applicable math concepts that sports some concept to that sport or to that event. Use what they like to relate to what they are learning. Another point is that discuss the history behind the math. Your topic, the one who introduced the topic, the formula, the one who introduced the formula, let them have the history behind whatever the concept they are gaining. That's where students sometimes name themselves Pythagoras and stuff, just because they've read something about or you give them some information about Pythagoras when you were doing Pythagoras theory. Explain how the information they learn in class can help them in real life. For example, you may want to introduce them to different interesting fields in which they will need this information, such as forensics, nuclear physics, or even cooking. When you are teaching fractions and proportions, you have to help them to know that they can apply these things in real life situation. Another thing is to teach through discovery learning. Instead of teaching a concept and having students apply it to several problems, give students a portion and challenge them to solve it. When they are engaged in problem-solving process, they will be more interested in the concept. And then another one is to give students the freedom to choose as much as possible. If students can choose which concepts they will learn next, they will be more interested in understanding it well, or they will be more invested in understanding it well. If students can choose the concept they want, they will feel they have more control over their learning. And students always want to have control over their learning. Let them understand let them understand that making mistakes is normal in their class. Encourage them to see mistakes as opportunities to learn better, and therefore urge them to share their thinking in class freely. Getting an answer is not an indication of students' inability to succeed in mathematics. So let them know some of these things. Tips and warnings. Praise your students when they succeed in challenging problems or projects. That is, praise should be used sparingly and for effort and not just for obtaining a good score. REC in 2010. So feedback you give should target what students can do in order to improve upon their learning. Do not overemphasize testing or grades. Doing so can cause students to lose interest in the concept. So somebody in a test, the grade that the person had, they are emphasizing that one alone. Meanwhile, some are good in even applying what they are learning in to other things or to real life situation. Then those ones you don't even praise them or you don't even talk about. Some factors related with high achievers. These are some factors. So in the class there may be some high achievers as well as low achievers, but we want to talk about the high achievers. Their attention, one factor that really is related to them. When teaching is designed so that students' active participation in the learning activity is demanded, attention is usually higher. So teacher strategies for selecting students to participate during discussion influence attention and active participation. Thus, a teacher who calls only on volunteers to answer questions will find that other students will stop paying attention. So, another point that affects high achievers is initiative. Learning is most effective when students can identify points where they need help and then obtain it. Thus, willingness to initiate contact with the teacher promotes learning. So teachers should let students know when they could and should demonstrate initiative. Understanding is the third point that relates to high achievers. Students who see a task as worthwhile and understand clearly how to complete it are more likely to continue to work at it. That teachers need to further students' understanding by making clear particular work should be done, making clear what particular work should be done or how a particular work should be done and what the reasons are for doing it. That's understanding. Then the next point is success. Students' long-term achievement is positively related to their success in daily classroom tasks. Therefore, assignments should be matched to students' abilities. Work in progress should be monitored and prompt feedback provided. If a student makes a mistake and does not realize it, this affects his or her performance on the rest of the tasks. So feedback should always be provided, and the progress of work should be monitored at all circumstances. So we come to another important aspect of this session: grouping for teaching and learning. There are three basic patterns of grouping for teaching and learning in a mathematics classroom. One is whole class with teacher guidance. In this case, you are saying that mathematics teachers are advised to use large group patterns for teaching and learning. If A, the topic is one that can be presented to all students at approximately the same point in time. That is, if all students have the same prerequisites for understanding the initial presentation. Two, pupils will need continuous guidance from teachers or that will help them to attain the knowledge, skills, and understanding. So we can do this if we know all the students are on the same level, then we can present the information as a whole class with the teacher's guidance. Then the second point is small groups, either with teacher's guidance or with student leaders. Small group work can mean that students work on a content focused on their needs and at the same time learn to work together to solve problems. The three-part lesson formats and the think, pair, share strategies are more often organized for small groups. Use small groups for teaching and learning. If A, students can benefit from students. If students can benefit from students, you know that what you are teaching, students can benefit from students. Then students interaction with teachers are less needed. Then you can use small groups. Again, activities involving a few students at a time. If the activities involve a few students at a time, you can still use small groups. If they want to foster cooperation learning skills, then small groups is the best. The last aspect of the grouping is individual working independently. And this one is normally used when students can follow a sequence or conduct an activity on their own. Where if they can do it on their own, then you can advise them to do it independently. And again, if they can focus on, or if the focus is on individual practice to master a particular concept or to master a particular topic, then you can allow them to do individual working independently. Because we want it setting up a safe and friendly environment in mathematics classroom. The following are some of the ways of achieving a good classroom management. So here we are talking about classroom management, how to set a safe and friendly environment in mathematics classroom. A. Organized group work, peer teaching and presentations. B. Respecting the opinions of students. Avoiding confrontations with students. D. Having fun with studies or having fun with students by using exciting review games to help them learn. Then 5. Identifying ways of motivating students to learn mathematics. 6. Creating opportunity for students to ask questions. The next one is rewarding students appropriately. Next one, providing them with interesting but challenging tasks. Next one, creating opportunity for students to discuss among themselves. Collaboration, that's collaboration. Then teaching from known to unknown. Then encouraging students to believe in themselves that they are capable of doing mathematics. This brings us to the end of this session, and we learned about the various ways teachers can motivate students to learn mathematics, some techniques in motivating and setting up a safety and friendly environment in mathematics